Here's another quote from Rogers around unconditional positive regard. By acceptance, I mean a warm regard for him as a person, of unconditional self-worth, of value no matter what his condition, his behavior, or his feelings. It means a respect and liking for him as a separate person, a willingness for him to possess his own feelings in his own way. So here's kind of a question for you to consider. Is it possible to experience this unconditional positive regard for all clients you might see? After all, we're sort of human, and it seems human to judge. And so really, that's not to say that it is possible. I mean, there are certain folks, certain populations of clients or people you'll come across that remind you of someone you can't, someone from your past that wronged you that you can't get over, or I know one of my hot button things is domestic violence, and I think it comes from my law enforcement career. I've never been able to help a couple in counseling emerge from domestic violence. It's something that I just am not okay with, and so in those instances, we don't have to swallow our values or hide them in order to connect with the client. But what we do, that's when we refer. That's when we realize that we can't do this, and we're not going to be effective for this person. So let's get them to someone who can. Empathic understanding, so accurate empathy becomes important here, but deeply grasp the client's worldview, connect with the client's subjective experience. And so this is seeing the world through their eyes. Now, not sympathy where you're feeling sorry for them, but empathy where you're experiencing and trying to understand the world as they see it. And so of these three necessary and sufficient conditions, empathy has been the one that has been most discussed and researched. And so that's a good one. So here's a little bit more on sympathy versus empathy. Another quote, sympathy is power. So if you're able to offer it, you're in a position above the one suffering. You're not feeling the same things banging brutally around your insides. I love that. Or you'd be able to offer or you'd be unable to offer your so thoughtfully extended hand. And so that's kind of a point to just say, remember, person-centered and Carl Rogers stuff, his work is we're all equals. Everything is equal. I'm not in a power position above them. And so, but if you're doing sympathy, you're putting yourself in a power position. So we always want to go empathy. Here's a quote on empathy from Rogers here, and he says, acceptance does not mean much until it involves understanding. It is only as I understand the feelings and thoughts which seem so horrible to you, or so weak, or sentimental, or so bizarre. It is only as I see them as you see them, and accept them and you, that you feel really free to explore all the, and I love this, the hidden nooks, frightening crannies of your inner and often buried experience. And so empathy is what opens that door and helps clients move. Techniques. Rogers placed little value really on techniques. He was more after a genuine sort of relationship with clients, and so he was more interested in that, which is really where it becomes challenged as a standalone theory. I believe now at this point in my counseling development that person-centered fits with all other theories. So it is, I'm a person-centered, solution-focused kind of counselor, and so it's more of a complement to the theories, to the other theories. So, but what we're doing is reflecting and clarifying clients' verbal and nonverbal communication. So said differently, we're a mirror for them. And we'll see this as we watch the Gloria videos. It's experiential, trying to get clients moving and doing things, being with the client, and experiencing and communicating attitudes with them. So we're helping them understand through this mirror sort of approach how they're coming off and what we're feeling as they're talking. The counselor's presence is super important, and this is where the techniques come in, where you're kind of leaning forward and strong eye contact and just a lot of focus on what they're saying. Immediacy is helpful here, and so that is, as I'm going to just stop you as you're talking, client, because as you said that, I was feeling this. And so that's kind of that's using immediacy in a way that will help strengthen the relationship. So, as you're practicing person-centered therapy, it's all about the counselor's attitude. So you have to really believe this. You have to have infused it into yourself, and not question it. It's just sort of agreeing that those three necessary and sufficient conditions are valuable and they're needed, and I'm going to use them, kind of making that decision. It's difficult to explain person-centered theory to folks because it comes off as being a little fuzzy, a little floating around in the air, but the theory does stand up. These techniques are solid, and our field has widely adopted them. And I would also say here on this third point that most people in the field underestimate the theory. Because it's not as fast as a cognitive behavioral therapy. It's not as fast as solution focus. And I think that because of that, people are, this at the bottom here, this age of a quick fix. Like we want to microwave problems and make them go away really, really quickly. We want to avoid uncomfortable and opt for avoidance, and so we're very impatient. And then young counselors are also trying to demonstrate and show that they can make things better rather quickly, and so they'll tend to kind of toss these off to the side. And then managed mental health care pushes the field to have results more quickly. So that is person-centered. Should you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know about them. But I hope you'll find this theory to be very viable as you do your work. All right, be well.